Scores 96 here with another ranking video. This time I'm going to be ranking the figures in the Marvel Legends Sandman Build-A-Figure wave. So quickly, before I start, I will say that this is going to be all of them except for Spider-Man 2099. I was planning on getting that figure. I wasn't really too excited for it or anything because, it's just another Spider-Man. It didn't look particularly interesting to me, so I wasn't particularly excited for it. However, I still wanted to get it. He was one of the rarer figures in the wave, and his price just kind of kept going up. I found it very difficult to get him and impossible to find him. So I ended up just buying his Build-A-Figure piece. It's not here yet, which is why my Sandman's missing his arm, but it will be here probably tomorrow, actually. So I will be completing Sandman very soon, and a review of him will be posted quite quickly as well. However, I do not have Spider-Man 2099, and therefore this ranking video will just be of the 6 figures that you see here, and yeah, so again, I'm not going to be including Spider-Man 2099 in this countdown. I also will like to say, just like I always do, the Sandman is not going to be taken into consideration. This is just going to be the figures themselves, and Sandman won't be included in the actual countdown, as well as these are all my personal opinions. I'm not necessarily saying what's the worst figure to the best figure. I'm saying what was my least favorite to my favorite. So just keep that in mind as well. So let's get started with the countdown. And in last place we have Spider-Man UK. This is a nice figure. I do like the head sculpt quite a bit. I like the kind of different proportions on especially the chin area of a Spider-Man that we really haven't seen before. I think that's nice and unique. However, I'm just not a big fan of this costume. It's not something that I particularly like. Having him stand next to Captain Britain is kind of neat, but certainly not something that I would be, willing to pay $20 for. It's an alright figure, not one of my favorites. Really just bought it for the Build-A-Figure piece. In 5th place, we have Miss Marvel. This is actually a really good figure. I think from a design perspective, it's quite nice. It does feature some new parts, and I'm really happy she comes with interchangeable hands to express her powers. I think that those extra hands are lacking some wrist articulation, which are really crucial. But overall, I think this is quite a nice figure. I do like the slight expression to it. I'm not a terribly big fan of the character, though. I just don't know too much about her, but I do think that it is quite a solid figure. Next up, we have the black-suited Spider-Man. This isn't a figure that's particularly unique, but we've seen this body sculpt used many times, particularly for Spider-Man figures. However, this is obviously a very iconic Spider-Man costume, so I do like it quite a bit for that. I also definitely love the eyes on this one. The eyes are very cool. They create a very comic look to it that I really wasn't expecting. And although we've seen this body used many times, it's one that's really good, I really haven't got bored of this body for the most part yet, so I do like this body sculpt and I like the costume. Figure-wise, nothing revolutionary, but it is quite nice, and a costume that I'm surprised it took this long to get. In 3rd place, we have Jackal. This is a character that I do like. He's not one of my favorite Spider-Man villains, but I do like him, and I love getting Spider-Man villains and Spider-Man waves. Sometimes we don't get too many, which I find crazy. So I'm really happy when we can get like a kind of C-class Spider-Man villain in a wave that's very cool. So I definitely like him from a character perspective, and from a figure perspective, I think it's great as well. Mainly because it's completely a new sculpt. I mean, I don't think that there's anything reused on this, and with that new sculpt, there's lots of detail on it, considering he has hair all over his body, and then he does have some nice shading in certain areas with a very cool, very expressive head sculpt. So I really like this figure. I think it's top mark, especially for me, because I enjoy this style of character, and then having a completely new and very fun and aggressive figure is really great on top of that. In 2nd place, I'm putting Shocker. Figure-wise, nothing revolutionary here. We have a couple of new sculpted pieces, but for the most part, it's reused, and it's a rather basic reuse. However, I like the character a lot. He mainly gets his spot because of the character, I would say. I like Shocker a lot. I've been waiting for a figure of him, and even better than all of that, he is another member of the Superior Foes, which I absolutely love, and I'm really hoping we do get Overdrive quite soon here to complete the team. So I personally enjoy this figure a lot to pose him with the rest of the team, and for team purposes. As a figure himself, he's fine, but he's nothing revolutionary. So for me personally, I did enjoy him the second most out of this wave, I would say, even though the figure is relatively basic. In first place, I have to put the Green Goblin. This is Spider-Man's most iconic villain, and we're finally getting it in the Marvel Legends scale, you know, in the modern Marvel Legends scale, and it's great. I really do love this figure. I think that the colors are very cool and very unique. Lots of detailing there, especially in the scale textures, as well as a good slew of accessories with the pumpkin bomb, his little satchel piece, and then a full glider, not to mention he does also come with Build-A-Figure pieces. So, excellent figure. Really do love this one. From the character and the figure, I think that from both aspects, he's pretty perfect. So definitely one of my favorite Marvel Legends as of recently. So definitely my favorite Marvel Legends of the Sandman Build-A-Figure wave. Alright, so there was my countdown of my least favorite to my favorite Marvel Legends figure in the Sandman Build-A-Figure wave. Definitely, I think this is a very strong wave in general. I love Spider-Man villains, and this wave featured a heavy amount of Spider-Man villains, and then the Build-A-Figure being a very iconic Spider-Man villain is just, you know, icing on the top. So, absolutely love this wave. I really had a fun time with this, and I am very much looking forward to the next Spider-Man wave featuring some movie figures as well. That's going to be great, too, so I'm very excited for that. So let me know what you guys think of my picks. Let me know what your guys' favorite figures are, or if you want to rank the wave yourselves, I'd love to see that as well. So there you go. Thanks so much for watching.